Hello and good evening. Welcome to Business Now. I'm Marco Musime, and from all of us here, we wish you a happy and prosperous new year. As we begin 2026, global markets are navigating a mix of cautious optimism and uncertainty, from shifting interest rate expectations and energy price movements to evolving geopolitical risks. And before we get into today's program, we start with a snapshot of the top business stories making headlines in global markets and what they mean to African economies, including Uganda. Let's welcome you back to Uganda's oil and gas industry, because it continues to shape conversations around jobs, skills development, and local content, not just for petroleum activities, but across a wider economy. As demand grows for specialized labor in oil and gas, construction, logistics, and support services, questions remain around whether Uganda's workforce is adequately prepared and how skills developed in oil and gas can spill over into other industries. To unpack this, we speak to the Chief Executive Officer of Q Sourcing TechSouth Uganda on the labor market readiness, skills gaps, and how Ugandans can position themselves for emerging opportunities. Patrick Kabahanga-Mbonye is the Chief Executive Officer at Q Sourcing Subtech Group, and it's a company that has been in the country for, I want to say, decades now, trying to solve Uganda's unemployment problem and Uganda's lack of skills problem or unskilled problems. So he's here with us. Patrick, you're very welcome, and
thank you.
Happiest New Year.
Thank you. Happy New Year too.
Great. And how far have you gone? Take us a little bit back in brief. You stand out as one of the most prominent ones, Q Sourcing, when we talk of helping industry, helping government and all that. How far have you come? What has been happening now? What is the update?
Thanks, Malcolm. We've been in the business now. This year we make 20 years. And it's a very interesting transition. And I say interesting because I would never have dreamt in my wildest dreams that we would go through this journey. As you can imagine, the last time we spoke, I started the company with a focus on addressing placement challenges, people with the right skills getting into the right places for economic purposes. We then grew into spreading our brand to the different countries, now in Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda, and South Sudan. And doing that by way of leveraging off the different skill sets that we could be able to pick from those countries, those economies, to service our clients who over time have grown from being local to being multinational and actually regional.
I mean, since you have spread into other countries, I mean, you say you've gone ESC, yes, Sudan, yes, Rwanda, Kenya, Tanzania, and other countries, and that's a big one, being that it's a Ugandan company. We used to export housemaids to UAE, South Sudan, and all these other countries. And Kenya, our regional peers used to export experts. Yeah. You heard of that line, yeah. I'm sure, yeah, during that time. And I'm happy to hear that a Ugandan company is now exporting expertise. When you look at those numbers, what comes in your mind? Does it tell you really have to do more? What areas are we really, really lacking?
I think one thing we need to know is that Uganda, and actually East Africa, is the highest population growth rate in the world, the region. And when you have those statistics, it means that you can look at it as a problem or a challenge. I prefer to look at it as a challenge. The challenge is we need to translate these numbers into our future billionaires, if we can use that, our future workforce, our future economic drivers, and that's an opportunity for us. East Africa right now is pretty much around the 200 million mark in terms of population.
Yeah.
It's almost the size of approximately Nigeria. Those are big economies. So if we look East Africa, if we speak East Africa, we're speaking the size of Nigeria, right? So the question is, how do we approach those opportunities? There will definitely be challenges. As I said before, you cannot only look at success.
How far have you gone in helping Uganda deal with the elephant in the room, skill the oil and gas, skill for the oil and gas sector, and solve that perception that oil and gas actually largely is interested in expatriates and less of locals, and so that's why jobs are actually not even visible?
The oil and gas sector is a high-risk sector, as in you're dealing with flammable material. The accidents will result very quickly into fatalities. We don't want that. And these companies take out insurance and they have got to live up to certain standards. So whoever is being involved or employed has to have expertise. Expertise comes from you're trained in that space, you have exercised, you have put in hours, and those hours have come with failures and successes, and they are recorded, and you have evidence of that. And you've consistently been updating your skill set. That is how you get to expertise. So foreign experts, it's not just because they're foreign. No, it's because they have expertise. Now, you ask yourself the question, some of these fields that are required in the oil and gas space are new fields to the economy. So how much effort has been put into training people to particular standards, people being exposed to the industry such that they can be exposed to practicing and putting those into practice?
Give us the key sourcing numbers.
Right now we have employed close to, over the 20 years, close to over 20,000. The skilling part, these I would say we're closing in over 7,000. These are drops in the ocean, but the numbers are picking up. And why? Because previously the companies were sponsoring these people. Now we're seeing people putting in their own money.
Skilling is our problem. Do you think when you look back, and you mentioned big numbers really, and that is just Q sourcing Celtic, and other government institutions that, I mean, in your research institute, they're doing a great job. Are we putting some of these facilities really fully to use?
Malcolm, I can confidently say that Uganda is going to be different in 10 years. Why? All these isolated projects that you see happening, you see Kira Motors, the trip they made all the way to South Africa, the EV, with the EV bus. I know of some young people who have invested their time in building parts. We talked about parts that will plug into that ecosystem. I know for a fact, as I told you, people are now paying to learn. There's two things. There's learning and then there's skilling. First, you've got to learn, and then you appreciate that you have to get skilled.
So what does the country do? Are we lacking, and how is Q sourcing Celtic helping government, for instance? And I know you work closely with government to solve those problems.
So how we work closely with government is on especially the skilling programs, what we do, and we don't really do projects with government a lot because government does the projects with their own institutions. So we support private players, but the goal is the same, skilling, the level of skilling. The challenge that we have is consistency, focusing on maintaining the bar. Now, if you're starting from basic level, and after basic you go to intermediate and then advanced. The standards at basic, are you locking that in and not rushing through that because you feel there's a gap in intermediate? Finish that. So the aspect of being patient and having the integrity to ensure that you've finished that level, irrespective of who you are. There is an issue of ego. If you are an institution that only handles basics, it doesn't mean you are lesser than any other. You're doing a role. You have a role you're playing. So everyone wanting to go and being identified that I'm handling advanced. No, it doesn't make sense. We will not all do advanced. So everyone at the different levels has a role to play. And so I like that government has recognized that. They're investing a lot in these Juakali guys. The Juakali is converting into some standard and standard protocols and skill sets that have a standard. I know also that there is a lot of reforms happening in the vocational and technical space in Ministry of Education. Now it's applying them. It's applying them and holding people to account. Now the people to hold to account are us, the ones who are delivering the skill set. That should not be compromised, because if it is compromised, the future is going to be quite complicated.
What will happen in the future? Will Ugandans now start saying, oh no, Ugandans are actually participating in oil and gas? Or they say, no, we actually do not have enough people, or we were just pushed out, technically?
Malcolm, one of the first things we did, the first lots that we had, pipe fitters, we trained pipe fitters. And these guys, Dubai, there was an entity in Dubai that wanted these guys. And they went off, we sent them off. When they got there, they were so happy, and they kept asking how many more, because the opportunities here are a lot more. But as you said earlier, this issue of exporting maids, there was a lot of focus on maids, so we stepped out of that space and we focused on training people for the local market. Right now, I can tell you with confidence that a lot of these guys have actually been absorbed in the manufacturing space, in the infrastructure space, not oil and gas. Now, the people who were training over the past 2 years and into this year are the ones who are now in the oil and gas space, who are stopping in the oil and gas space. As I said before, this is just a drop in the ocean of need. The manufacturers need these skill sets. The infrastructure projects need these skill sets.
What is the shortage? If I'm to throw out a number there, and
when oil and gas was starting, I think the shortage was about 160,000. That was for what they could see.
Is it reducing?
Yes, it's reducing. But remember, the population is increasing, and the opportunities and need is also increasing. The question I would ask is the increasing need consistent with the increasing provision of solutions? And I would say the need is increasing more than the solutions.
What would you tell the finance minister?
I'm sure he has a lot of advice that he receives, but I would say that let's invest in a more deliberate way, because we collecting taxes, increasing on taxes, is going to come from increased work. Increased work will come from increased value of skill that we have. So the bottom line, the root cause of our small economy is because of the size of our skill set. Remember, the skills, you can never have too many skills as a country. If you cannot consume them here, they will be used somewhere else. So that's where I would say we'd invest.
Patrick Kabahanga Mbonye, the Chief Executive at Q-Sourcing, you've added something. I didn't ask you what, but we'll do that again, why you added that at some point. Thank you very much for coming to Business Now.
Thank you.
Now, let's move on. And on this program, we take a short break before that. And when we turn our focus to Uganda's labor market, technology-driven entrepreneurship, and the economic impact of election-related spending. You can stay with us. Technology continues to redefine how young Ugandans work, innovate, and build businesses. But for many startups, access to the right tools, platforms, and the technical support remains a major hurdle. In our second story, we look at a homegrown startup focused on mobilizing technology tools for young tech-savvy Ugandans, helping them turn ideas into scalable businesses. We speak to the head of Electrico Uganda, who shares how the company is supporting startups, empowering digital skills, and strengthening the country's innovation ecosystem.
Engineer Ismail Yaruhanga. I'm one of the founders of TechRise Uganda. It's an initiative. We are into empowering youth, young Ugandans, providing them with tools, and these tools are laptops. Our initiative is all about giving them the tools so that we can equip them with the available tools to provide them with the environment where they can use these tools to develop skills, and these skills can be used in the day-to-day development and growth of their livelihood. So far, we have impacted a total of around 100 young Ugandans, with providing them with these digital laptops, these tools. We have given them the laptops, we have given him the accessories to help them in the process of innovating and developing their skills. In this journey, since our establishment, we have tried our best to reach out to different corporations, organizations, and non-government organizations, locally and internationally. We have gone as far as United States and the United Kingdom, where we have approached different venture funds, we have approached different family offices, we have approached different multilaterals seeking for support to provide us with these tools, the laptops and other softwares to aid us in the process of helping the young Ugandans who are passionate about creativity. We really urge that every innovator, every creator, every person who is into the digital space, the technology space, who is willing and who wants to support should join hands with us and we move ahead with him. At the moment, we are looking for tools, but we call upon trainers who are into the digital space. We call upon innovators, we call upon content creators who wants to support, who wants to provide incentives in pushing this agenda, helping this initiative to move forward. And we call upon anyone who has interest into the digital space, who wants to learn, who wants to understand what exactly we do, to join hands and work around with us.
As the country edges closer to the election cycle, election-related spending is once again coming into focus, with implications for inflation, public finances, private sector activity, and overall economic stability. What does this mean, or does it strain the economy? And what should businesses and investors expect in the months ahead? Economist John Kakungulu Walugembe joins us to analyze election-related expenditure, its impact on the economy, and the outlook for Uganda's macroeconomic environment.
In the run-up to an election, government spend money to campaign, spend money to complete projects that they think the electorate might find interest in. So this pre-election and pre-election spending gives a short-term boost to businesses, creates short-term jobs, and MSMEs have been able to benefit. All these t-shirts that have been printed, all these cars that have been moving people around, all these PA systems that were hired, all these musicians that were earning money. So in other words, there's been a boost to the economy as a result of temporary spending, particularly by government, but also the opposition spends. You can't run an economy without spending. So that's the first impact of elections on the overall economy. Now, if the central bank were not independent, sometimes you find that the managers of the central bank may be influenced to slash interest rates so that there's a short-term catalytic effect in the economy. Thankfully for us, the central bank has been very focused on price stability and keeping the CBR high to ensure that we don't have any inflationary pressures. And we hope that this, from the monetary policy perspective, this will continue to be the position. Now, the other aspect is that elections generally, especially in developing countries like Uganda, are cause for worry, particularly by private business people and investors. So therefore, that uncertainty means that they hold back on any long-term investments, any long-term plans. So this kind of uncertain scenario, and if there's, God forbid, if there was a bit of contention after the election, then this period of uncertainty is even increased unnecessarily. So it means that during that time there are no major investments that are taking on, and the economy definitely takes a hit, because then you have a reduction in investments. Even by Ugandans in the diaspora who send remittances, they may feel, whatever I want to do, let me do it after the elections. So that then has a negative impact. On the economy. Yes, so these are really the position is that whereas there are short-term positive shocks, long-term the country might pay more, because having spent a lot during the election period, it means that after the election the government might reduce its spending because it wants to compensate for the overspend during the election period. And then, of course, the lack of investment pre and during the election period also has an impact. It has an impact on FDI, foreign direct investment. It will have an impact on the strength of the shilling and so on. So these are some of the positive and negative impacts from an election like this on the economy.
That's all we had for you on Business Now this evening. Thank you for watching. You can catch a repeat of this program on NTV's YouTube channel, plus on Friday afternoon, and stay engaged with us on X at Marco Msime.